divine wisdom flows through Mynoo Maryel. So tonight we are going to be hearing from Mynoo, divinely guided as she brings forth the 47 Pearl of Wisdom, which tonight is about success. So I'm sure all of you are very excited about that, as I am. And here we go into 2022. It's going to be an extraordinary year. Mynoo tonight will share 7 facets of success and how you can anchor it so that it regenerates. We talk a lot about regeneration, and so that you don't have to work so hard. It just naturally regenerates on an ongoing basis. And wouldn't that be lovely to have success just reoccur over and over and over again? So that's where we're headed with this 47th Pearl of Wisdom. Welcome to everyone on Facebook Live tonight. We have our 108 Pearls of Wisdom that we are here every Thursday night. And every once in a while, Mynoo will do a nugget of wisdom, which is a little bit different. But tonight we have our 47th Pearl of Wisdom. So welcome, Linda, Vince. We've had a few others join. Great to see everyone. And we'll continue to bring everyone on board. And again, if you miss parts of this, worry not, because you can always watch this on Facebook Live. So I know I have to watch it over and over again. And tonight, as Mynoo was just saying to me earlier, this one hits the bullseye. This one is one of the best. And I know that we often say that, but I saw this beaming smile coming from Mynoo and I bought into it. I'm like, I get it. Yes, it is success. So I'm going to turn it over to Mynoo so we can go ahead and get started. And Mynoo, I'll handle the back room. And very excited to hear more tonight about success.
Thank you, Catherine. Yes, I was excited that success is a pearl of wisdom, given that a pearl of wisdom is such that each pearl enables you to have a world that works for everyone, that delivers to everyone, actually. So I'm excited about success, especially since we had the failure session last week. As a nugget of wisdom, it was great to see that success, in fact, is a pearl of wisdom. So the 7 facets of success and how you can work with these so that you can anchor success in a regenerative way. And it's important. The regenerative part is an important aspect because, you know, it is this in the 10 commandments that I've talked about of the new world, there's a switch from sustainable to regenerative. So it's fabulous to know that success, in fact, can be anchored in a regenerative way. So I'm working with my remarkable today. Again, the faithful remarkable is back. So the first facet of success is serendipity. Serendipity, it's that aspect of serendipity where, you know, something beautiful happens without even looking for it, without even asking for it. Something beautiful occurs. It's that feeling of serendipity. For me, it was very interesting to understand, oh, this is a facet of success, that I feel something beautiful has occurred without me even looking for it. And it does hit the bullseye within me. And it felt like, oh yeah, of course. But actually, when I went back into all those times where I would have used the label of success, right? A number of them in my old avatar, which feels so ancient now, were about winning. Didn't feel, actually, even when I went into each of those times where I felt that I had won, when I looked at it from this facet, I didn't feel that something beautiful had occurred without me even looking for it. yeah, we were going for a goal and we hit the goal, and that was great. And it felt like a win. And, it took some effort. And I recall, I don't know if there are others here like me, but in those days, a win was great. It was success, pat on the back, move forward. And I took very little time to celebrate, or certainly no time to rejoice in that. It might have been a party or something like that, but it just felt like a doing celebration as opposed to being in the state of rejoicing. And yet I have also experienced times where something beautiful has occurred that without even me asking. And I bask in that glory for many decades to come. Remember that time? And the moment I remember that time, it's just there. When I remember those times of winning, there isn't that remember that time, because there was no being there. We were doing, won the race, did celebration, and moved on. So this is a really important aspect to understand about success. Serendipity is one of the facets, one of the 7 facets of success. Something beautiful occurs without even asking for it. So, how the lay of the land is really important. How do you, for me, when I got this intellectually, oh yeah, of course, but when I did what I ask everyone to do every time we go through the pearls of wisdom, is go through the lay of the land and take stock. So that this vibe that defines success becomes enlivened within you. So I did that. And since we've been working with Wrap Up, and I've done so many of these wrapping up sessions, which I totally love because I just go deeper each time. I just decided to go, last 5 years, what occurred that I labeled as success, because it was equally important to know what I gave label of success, which wasn't, in fact, did not have this facet, so that I can recognize that also. And what occurred where the serendipity was present, played out. I even went as far as looking at, well, where did I feel that in my body? Something beautiful's happened without me even asking for it. And I feel very fortunate, and everyone, all of you, each of you will actually feel very fortunate when you look at it. So when you do the lay of the land, just do it in a full spectrum way, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, socially, and environmentally. And yeah, it takes a bit of time, but hey, you've got the holidays coming up. Allocate some time. And this is such a yummy, juicy thing to engage in. The last 5 years, what were those moments where something beautiful occurred without me even asking for it? Where did I feel it in my body? How did it feel even? I even went as far as, saying, what did I look like? What was I wearing that day? What was that expression on my face? I mean, I didn't necessarily remember everything. It's just that vibe is what I was bringing alive, In some moments, I actually remembered what other people said to me. Then I went back to the last 10 years. I went back to the last 15 years. I have a long life, so I had a good long chunk of segment on serendipity. It is like really, I was basking in this. This is beyond ecstasy. And it's all grounded in reality of what has occurred for you. And you know what you're doing here? You're automatically, your tree of aliveness is already there. You're automatically like, whoop, wrapping it up and putting it under your tree of aliveness. That memory of serendipity. I mean, social was an interesting one where I looked at different dynamics, relationship dynamics, different places where I was called to appear, and it was just phenomenal. Some people I had just completely forgotten showed up in a way with a gift that I had not registered as something that they invoked in me, something that they actually, gave me access to, something that they made me realize. And many of you here are literally veterans of participating in these pearls of wisdom. So doing the lay of the land has been going on ever since Catherine and I started doing these Friday morning and Thursday evening sessions. So you are ready to go deeper and uncover at a nuance level. That's really where the secret source of the recipes for your success lie. Many of you here are Miracle into Journey alumni. So you can stand in your source and go for it. You just get even more exquisite nuances of the experience of serendipity. The second facet of success, I mean, it's amazing how, when I do these 7 things about the pearls of wisdom, how each one goes into a new layer and a new layer and a new layer. This one was a surprising one. Success is ubiquitous. It is everywhere. It feels like it's present everywhere. And it has that experience of omnipresence. Now that was an odd realization, because when I looked at how I defined success as a label, those moments were not omnipresent. They were there, at work or on a particular project. Yeah, it felt I was successful. Didn't have the serendipity vibe, but it was certainly a win. And then something pretty nasty might be going on at home. It was not ubiquitous. And it's okay now, once you understand the difference between this is success and this is a label. It's okay to celebrate the label of success as a win, but just know you're not there yet in terms of it actually being what would constitute as success. So when you actually have the experience of success, it is ubiquitous. It feels like it's everywhere. Again, this is another one of those, when you do a deep dive in the lay of the land, I have to say, when I just went through the cleanse and a fast for 7 days, even though it wasn't necessarily comfortable for most of the 7 days, the accomplishment each day actually felt like success. There was always something or the other that was beautiful that was occurring without even me asking for it. And I felt so blessed at having met this person, and the fact that she was able to actually in person lead it here in Dubai. It just would not have happened. I mean, this is after 18 months in lockdown, where she was doing it online, but online she could only do it for people who had done this fast and cleanse with her many times, because it has many, many layers of nuance in it. So it felt, and that experience of serendipity, being in the vibe of it, rejoicing in something beautiful that had occurred without me even asking for it. I felt like an angel had arrived, holding my hands. And that feeling, even though the physical body, there was discomfort, I knew that undertone of it was one of rejoicing in my cells. So the omnipresent, the ubiquitousness was very much present. It feels like a basking experience, like literally lying in a hammock on Maui Beach with that beautiful breeze and the sun and the rustling of the leaves and the waves. It feels like that. So when you now, once you've done the serendipity lay of the land, and you've really discovered those moments of serendipity in your life, when you go to the second one, the ubiquitous, where it's present everywhere, you go into the way I did it was I literally went into those serendipity moments. And there was a further distillation in some of those serendipitous moments where it felt like nothing could take away this experience that I was having. Nothing. I actually saw, situations that could have been traumatizing, were uncomfortable. They were there at the same time as experiencing and basking in that feeling of something beautiful had occurred without me even asking for it. I started really, and it's interesting why we're talking about success on the first pearl of wisdom after the 2022 energies have kicked in. Because the innate vibe of success is rejoicing. And when you have a win and you go rah-rah, beat the chest, and you're doing celebration, the vibe is, okay, you're celebrating. It's not necessarily a rejoicing vibe. Rejoicing in itself is regeneration of joy ongoingly. And that is the quality of what is termed as success. The more you understand it, and remember, I talk about the universe as our partner, as someone there in service of us. So the more you engage with this level of, lay of the land, looking at the serendipity moments, experiencing those amongst those moments which give you that ubiquitous vibe, where it feels like it's omnipresent all around you, everywhere you look, that feeling is there. The universe says, she likes that. And off it goes. The universe only works in one way. It applies a multiplier effect to whatever it is that you're experiencing. What it has done for me, and this is the third one actually, the third facet of success is it's very centering. It centers you. That's why I say it's like basking. Basking in the glory, basking in the sunshine. It's that kind of a feeling. So as a result, it multiplies, it regenerates by itself. Because you're not in the busyness of doing celebration so that's done, over, done with, tick, we've rung the bell, we've had this win, everybody's clapping and cheering, and then off you go, get going with it, with your work again. It isn't like that. It's like you don't have to ring a bell. Because at a cellular level, more than bells are ringing. And you can at the same time be completely centered. You don't have to pause or interrupt anything to rejoice in success. And if you actually did the lay of the land, with the first facet and the second facet, you already will start experiencing the centering vibe. As many of you have heard me talk about, I have gone through a whole series of spiritual awakenings. And I have to say, even though I wasn't aware of these 7 facets of success at the time, I certainly was experiencing it. That allowed me to remain centered, which meant that I noticed that this particular, phase is actually a phase of awakening, because I've developed these new gifts which I didn't have before. The more you are in this space of acknowledging beautiful moments that keep occurring without you even asking for it, and basking in that experience, the more they multiply, the more they regenerate themselves, the more centered you are, the more you notice what a blessing you are to the world, because you constantly receive blessings. Big ones, small ones, round ones, square ones, amoeba-shaped ones, whatever. I mean, by the way, I get these shapes when I think, oh, what shape is it? This feeling. And sometimes I do get amoeba shapes. The key thing is it automatically gets you to play with it, and you can be centered. You can be loud. You can be, completely silent. You can be doing a happy dance. I have to say, when I look back at my life, and I did this, last 5 years, 10 years and stuff, I realized that if I hadn't noticed that I'd actually started writing a collection of words that felt good, but I didn't necessarily think that way, and started observing how they made me feel, and therefore choosing to do them as opposed to getting over analytical about where is this all coming from, I wouldn't be here today doing what I'm doing, sharing what I'm sharing. It's literally, what's occurring is I'm able to connect the dots of the most exquisite experiences in my life in a full way. So from that is emerging this understanding of these different pearls of wisdom. Wouldn't have occurred if I hadn't worked with success in this way. And I always say, if this can happen to me, it can happen to anyone and everyone. So this is like literally your, your induction into rejoicing. So just remember a little bit about 2022 I'm bringing in. Just remember, like 2020 was no baggage-free flight, 2021, flowing in flow. Again, lots of clearing taking place, getting you into the rhythm of your flow, so that you being in the rhythm of your flow is going to continue. What got released in that process is gone. Rejoicing vibe is here to stay. We are now starting to layer this cake. And this layering is going to continue for the rest of your life. So we have the layer of rejoicing. So this piece is your induction. Success is a pearl of wisdom, is your induction into rejoicing, becoming a layer in your cake that is going to be there for the rest of your life. So if you have, again, very important to discern whatever you might give a label of success and what is truly successful. Success is centering. If you have that experience of feeling centered, there's no noise. You may be in the middle of the busiest nightclub, but your head isn't spinning, doesn't feel loud. I remember this, this loudness has nothing to do with the actual noise. Because if you are in a space where there's too much noise being created by others, you go into your ears and you say, what am I actually listening? What is actually being communicated? And if it is just, just like sounds, there's nothing that's that relevant, you will immediately cut out all those sounds. And you can be in the busiest of places. I've generated some of the most powerful, potent writings in busy nightclubs. And you know why that is? Because the first time I did this was all about being truly, madly, deeply in love with myself, right? That whole body of work, that Journey into Miracles, people, you've done, emerged from a 30th birthday celebration of a friend of mine with 400 people that were there in this party, and it was so loud and noisy. And at that point, I was very early in my journey of spiritual awakening, so I avoided crowded places. And yet she was a dear friend, so I went to it. I used to carry my journal everywhere. And I carried my journal, and my guidance was to go and sit where the live band was, right next to the live band. And I just sat there. The lights were very dim or they were flickering, and I started writing. I literally got into this space of being completely centered, and I started writing. Of course, I could hardly see what I was writing, and I just kept writing and writing and writing. And from time to time, people would come and just sit next to me and talk, and this continued for 3.5, 4 hours. I must have written 2 books there. But that's because literally the noise just cuts out. When you are in a space, in that experience of success, and that was a breakthrough I needed to have, because my mind had so many have-tos and shoulds when it came to writing. It was one of those things that I over-prepared for and finally never got around to writing. There'd be a few words that would come here and there, and I would overanalyze those words. They wouldn't convert into sentences. I actually became plugged into, in fact, masterful even, with automatic writing. So success, a facet of success, the centering part, is it cuts out the noise. And a lot of the noise often is the chitter chatter of that, little voice in our head, the one that's saying, "What little voice?" So again, when you do the lay of the land of moments, and because I had already done the serendipity moments, experienced the ubiquitousness, I was able to go in the centering lay of the land analysis into those serendipity moments and experienced which of those truly got me into that space of centering. And pretty much all of them did. And this moment that I'm talking about, nightclub, 400 people, writing 2 books in 4 hours, was one of those moments. And it really, where I was only an hour or so before, was, okay, I'm going to go there because I love my friend. I'm going to honor her 30th. And I'm going to leave in 5 minutes. And actually, when I think back, I was amongst the last people to leave. So she and I had a really great hangout time afterwards, after everyone had gone even. Just a few people were left and we were still hanging around. Had no idea that so many hours had gone past. And literally after that party, we went out to the spot which had the best sunrise, and very close to that was this French bakery that did them warm croissants at that time in the morning. So it just got, how much better can it get? But that's the nature of success. It just regenerates automatically. The fourth one is it's counterintuitive. Well, this example I talked about is counterintuitive, you know, going into this birthday celebration and being able to be in this wonderful centered space, writing so much. Just a second, I need some water. That was counterintuitive. And yet it had every facet of success was visible when I look back at it. Everything in a full spectrum way that was an experience of success. And here's the thing, this is the other aspect that I've discovered. It may be different for you as you look at what you would now call as success in your life. For me, success is whole and complete. It is full spectrum. So even we say there's something to rejoice physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, socially, and environmentally, all of it. Rejoicing is the innate vibration of success. So even when I was going through the 7-day fast and cleanse and the physical discomfort was there, when I tuned in, yes, the discomfort was there as a passing feeling. At a cellular level, there was still rejoicing that I was experiencing. So it's counterintuitive, where it sort of goes against what you would deem to be logical. Now, that was really important for me, somebody like me, very, very acutely utilized left brain in my previous avatar, to be faced with so many things occurring that just did not match my logical frame of mind. It was not logical to me that somebody could sit there with 400 people and write anything of meaning. And certainly write in a book when you've got these disco lights and all this noise and stuff. Completely counterintuitive, completely illogical. So what happens when what I know now, when I start having that serendipity experience at a cellular level, I just be with it. I just keep going, even if it feels counterintuitive. I don't stand up and walk away because I know it's success in the making. Success is naturally regenerative. It multiplies so fast. Now, here's the thing, and I've learned this for myself, and that's why I'm sharing it with everyone, because my logical mind has been so pronounced that me just shutting out the logic just because I'm experimenting with something else would never shut it out. It would interfere in the joy of what I was experiencing. So I would allow that logic to play out and choose, okay, yeah, I get all of that, and it is amazing that I'm writing. Those days, we used to have this tiny little Nokia phone that had that torchlight. So I pressed the torchlight and I saw that on this book, I'm actually writing very clearly. And I'm not going up and down or anything, so then I got fascinated by that. I could even read my own writing. I could read the words. I could read the sentences even. The battery power wasn't that great, so I turned it off. But that little bit of evidence for me allowed me to relax and acknowledge my logical mind going, this is nonsense, stop it. Oh yeah, there's some beautiful download coming. You can't write here. That's where it went first. There's some amazing stuff coming. You have to leave. You have to go somewhere else. And yet my guidance was, no, stay put, get going now. And I did. So, but prior to that, I was having those feelings, the serendipity feeling was occurring. And I could feel that basking glow within me. I was feeling very centered. So noise was already cut out. So I was able to go, okay, it's counterintuitive, but I'll stay with it. So you will have your own experiences, and you don't have to wait for it to occur. So what I did, once I understood this, I said, okay, everything is, it's an energetic vibration. So whatever has occurred, whatever I have made it mean, whatever I have experienced at a point in time, energetically, if I can remember it, that entire energetic experience still exists. So I can actually apply these 7 facets to that. So I can actually go in and look at the counterintuitive aspects of it so that I can fully anchor that occurrence as success so that many of the nuances can continue to regenerate themselves. So this particular piece was like that. It was in hindsight. I didn't have access to these 7 facets in this way at the time. So it's only when I look back, that was one of the things that stood out. And I applied each one of these to that experience, allowing myself, allowing my intellect to really receive the yummy, juicy, nutritious insights from that experience. I've been a movie producer in the past, produced 15 movies. And what I became very aware of, and I used to say it even then, that real life is far more engaging and interesting and thrilling and adventurous and suspenseful than any script could ever be. And what I've seen is each of our lives is like that. It is so rich. If we wish to enrich ourselves, we don't need to go anywhere. I mean, this is an important piece to understand, which is if you can recollect a moment and you can, each of these pearls of wisdom take you into layers and layers of detail, understanding the nuances and these different facets, all of those exist still as an energetic vibration in your field. So you still have the chance to extract that elixir nutrient that is there for you. I mean, you get on such a high. Just not tempted to do anything other than this kind of work. And it, initially it takes a while, but now that I'm in the groove of it, I don't have to sit down in one place and discover it. It happens on the go because it is regenerative. I said this is one of the best pearls of wisdom that we've ever done so far. And I know there are many more that are coming that will beat it. It's like the Guinness World of Records, there's always a new record maker. This is one of those. Each one of the facets is like deepening your experience of success. And the more you do it for yourself, this is the key thing. It is so grounded in reality. That's why it becomes so centering and it's unshakable. And that's why you're able to move forward, even though it feels very counterintuitive. Or there's a situation that occurred with someone I didn't necessarily know at all, but her uncle crossed over. It was a bit of a sudden crossing over that took place. He wasn't particularly young, but it was not expected at all that that would happen anytime soon. And yet that happened. And I've also shared when I've talked about 2022 that the vibe is just so yummy that many souls who feel their physical body isn't at the level that will allow them to enjoy this new vibe are going to choose to depart to come back. Right? So there'll be a vibe of rejoicing even in the passing of some of these souls. So you'll feel it. And this friend of mine was, called me up and she said, we all gathered, we did lots of crying and stuff at home, and we all gathered together, to finally receive the body and then prepare it for cremation. And she said, we couldn't help it, but it was like, we were all finding something or the other to laugh about. In this room that should have been everybody's crying, you could hear laughter. And we were stopping each other from laughing because it just felt inappropriate, but we couldn't help it. And she said, I'd heard you say this. And I thought, yes, it is counterintuitive. But if you allow yourself to really tune into the rhythm of what is going on around you, and you are really going through these moments of success, you will feel something that is counterintuitive. So for this particular soul, it was a moment of success. It was totally rejoicing, so ready to come back in the human form. And we want all of these souls to come back in the human form because they're completely coming with the knowing of the rejoicing vibe, not just understanding of it. It's a little bit of a somber example, but it just illustrated something not that long, just literally a couple of days ago, where it was playing out. So she called me from there, actually saying, I'm supposed to feel really distressed about this, that why are we laughing about it? Are we being disrespectful? And I just guided a few of them to tune in to this person that had crossed over. And they started giggling and stuff, and they started thinking of all those funny moments they had had with him. I said, well, that's just for the soul communicating with you. That all's good. Enjoy, celebrate, because I am in joy, returning with a higher enlightened frequency to experience the fullness of what this world has to offer. And we are so fortunate that we are here in our physical body. We have the contrast to compare it with, so we can go even deeper in our rejoicing. That is success. That is counterintuitive, but it's one of the facets of success. The fifth one the fifth facet is that it's engaging. Engaging, to me, engaging is a full spectrum word. It engages me physically, mentally. If something is engaging, it is engaging me physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, socially, and environmentally. So when I got this as one of the facets of success, I thought, okay, let me get to know engaging. If engaging is full spectrum, which moments of my life I would say were engaging? I did like an independent lay of the land of engaging. Like literally went into last 5 years, moments of engaging. And then I did you can see how logical my mind goes. Once I did that, did the last 5 years, which moments were engaging, where I felt engaged in a full spectrum way. And then I did a match with those serendipity moments. Every serendipity moment was engaging. And there were more. Then I thought, okay, so given that there were more, Was there something that I missed in those moments that were just purely engaging, where something beautiful occurred without me even asking for it? So really what I'm doing here is, in my world, you always take your mind along. You literally can have anything you want. Life's meant to be easy. It only gets hard when you try and push your mind away. When you take your mind along, mind grounds you in what's real. It has to be visible to it. So by bringing the mind along in this way, where I'm noticing, okay, looking at engaging in its pure form, where were all of my faculties, all of my cylinders engaged, those moments, and which of those had the facets of success, and those moments of engaging where I had not included them in my serendipity moments, then what was serendipitous about those moments? Was there? So literally, my treasure trove expanded multifold. And when you're doing this, you are, for yourself, invoking your own remembrance at a cellular level of what success feels like in your body. And you're anchoring it by spending this time engaging your mind. Unequivocally, your mind gets, you have a life that is so rich in so many successes. That's one thing it doesn't have to worry about. So the mind, you can get the mind out of the way by bringing the mind along. It does not interfere anymore. You don't have conflicting thoughts that come in, because there is more than enough that it has already evidenced. Because you're not looking at somebody else's life here, you're looking at yours. And you're going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into it. So do the engaging. My recommendation would be engage in engaging in a full spectrum way by itself, and then do the match with your moments of serendipity. And then if there are moments of engaging where you felt fully engaged, but you hadn't included them in your serendipity moments, then look at where there was something that was serendipitous about those moments. The interesting thing doing this with success is, truly, every moment when you're examining it at this level of detail, the experience is euphoric. And it is so centering that euphoria, you can continuously continue to bask in the glory of that euphoria. It's a very beautiful state that just continues and regenerates by itself. I talked about how do you anchor success in a regenerative way. You anchor it by really bringing your mind along. In every analysis that you do, even when you acknowledge this is counterintuitive. Somebody didn't notice me at this performance, or somebody said, a critic wrote something negative. I remember one of the moments that I picked up when I did my analysis was we presented, I would say one of the favorite movies I've made. It's a movie called Red Mercury. And I presented it at the Montreal Film Festival. And it received lots of beautiful reviews. And there was one particular one, which is a very long review, and it was by a French film critic. And it was like very hard hitting, very critical. And when I looked at that incident, and then I found myself talking to the press, justifying many of the points that this particular critic had made at that time. Now, fast forward many years, this was one of those serendipity moments where something beautiful had occurred that I hadn't even expected. So one of the aspects that emerged there was this French critic and his article. And I realized, actually, the bottom line of what he was upset about was we were talking about a serious matter in that movie. And we had written it in such a way that it had many, many, many Monty Python clever English humor lines in it. So he'd identified that this serious matter, a movie dealing with such a serious matter he'd counted out 193 humorous lines. But that's because we wanted to get a very important point across. Getting it across in such a way that it lands, wit and humor is a very important way of doing it. But I realized that actually I didn't need to spend, really what I did was I spent a lot of time justifying some of those or other ancillary points which just weren't even needed to be justified. I just needed to own up and share wit and humor is the way to actually get a point across. Serious point across. In your face points across. When people are closed, wit and humor is the way to do it. That's why the movie was made like that. But when I did this, looking backwards, I was able to see this whole scene play out in quite a special way like that. But I also, later on, when I went to Cannes the next year, the same critic, had come and shared with me so many things that he had seen in this. He must have seen that movie about 6 times. And he was sharing all these layers that he'd found in the humor, and we both had a great laugh about it. Of course, I didn't see that as a win. I didn't celebrate it, nothing. But it truly was worthy of being identified as a moment of success. Because it was something beautiful that occurred. People other producers would say to me, seriously, you were having a coffee with that guy and you guys were laughing? He never laughs about anything. And we were. So this engaging facet is a truly engaging one. You will start noticing aspects in those moments that you hadn't even noticed. Really enriches rejoicing even more than you would otherwise have been able to do. That's why the success is such a wonderful pearl of wisdom. The 6th one. The 6th one, again, I don't edit these words when I receive them. I just really get the word and share it. It is sound. Success has a sound. Yes, Gail. It has a sound. It has its own resonance. And when I got this, for me, this was like a epiphany. The realization success has a sound. It's true. There have been moments where I had slogged myself and my team like a slave driver. All of us worked and we achieved it. We had the win. We had the party. Many of us had lost our voices because we were so burnt out. It was like, okay, it was not success. Yes, it was a win, but it was not success. It does have a sound. So I did something funny. I think Gail will like it because she's taught me to in a few lessons we've had. I said, okay, if it has a sound, I'm going to pick this moment of serendipity. And I'm just going to see what sound comes out. If it has a sound. Because already, doing this analysis on particular moments of success, I was basking in the glory of those moments. So what's the sound that comes out? And you know what I found? I did this a few times, and I'm going to do more of it. Which is, I now have my family living in my apartment, so I don't have the whole apartment to be making all sorts of sounds for a long period of time. So I have little moments early in the morning where I can make these sounds and nobody's disturbed. But just in those moments, what I found was my resonance of success actually emanates from sort of from this point all the way up to here, Adam's apple point. My sound. So it's like my voice, there's depth to the voice, there is strength to the voice. And the amplification and projection somehow is happening from here. But when I feel where is that vibe of success most prevalent, it's here. And when I went into the space of experiencing the basking experience of success, it's at the tip of the tailbone is another point where I feel that basking experience. So I guess that connection of the sound that is coming out from here is coming all the way from the tip of my tailbone, traveling up my spine, very fueled by the health of my cerebral spinal fluid. So Linda, go for it. Your wonderful oak tree is going to have some wonderful sounds coming from you. It's going to say, oh my God. She's getting more and more childlike. But this particular pearl of wisdom truly puts me in a state of wonderment and reignites that childlike genius that we all have within us. The seventh one, I always suddenly notice the time and we have 4 minutes left. The seventh one. The seventh one is, it puts a stake in the ground. So when I look at those moments where I have made a conscious choice, made a declaration, and put a stake in the ground, you can count on me for this. Success, one of the facets of success is you put a stake in the ground. That you can count on me, even if you've actually had abject failure. Remember, failure fast forwards you. And what I found when I did this lay of the land analysis, many, many moments that I would have previously labeled as failure actually were fast forwarding me because they were moments where I put a stake in the ground. And the moment I put a stake in the ground, I had that serendipity moment experience. That declaration, this is to be. Because I say so. It's as if, and that why this is such an important facet and how you leverage the stake in the ground. Because when you put a stake in the ground and you make that declaration, you are honoring your declaration. You are reclaiming your voice. You are standing in your center. And it's literally, people around you know that, yeah, she means business. The entire universe is mobilized to bring to you all that you require for that stake in the ground to actually be realized. In your declaration, you actually anchor success that is associated with that stake in the ground. It's as if when you put a stake in the ground, you've declared success already. So what I found when I did this, and I looked at moments of where I declared a stake in the ground, there weren't as many as serendipity moments. There weren't as many as the engaging moments, but there were a few where I put that stake in the ground. It was as if success was delivered in that moment. All the facets of success I experienced the moment that declaration of something as a stake in the ground occurred. And one of those moments was the declaration that the next phase of my life is about living an extraordinary life where all aspects of my life coexist with ease, grace, and joy. I hadn't a clue how to do that. It was a stake in the ground, and I had all the experiences, all the facets of success were there in that declaration. And within months, I was living that. And it continues to regenerate itself. Work with it. Do at least something between now and the next pearl of wisdom. And certainly do all of these during the holidays. Over to you, Catherine.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mynoo. When we started this evening, you felt so giddy to me. Like there was, as I said, a ray of sunshine coming out of you, and now I know why. Thank you for this fun, this excitement as we go into the new year and close up this year, and being able to partner with the universe and engaging in these serendipitous moments. You know, I do get what you mean, and it's happened to me. I just didn't really understand what was happening. So thank you for that explanation. And the strangest thing I have to say is today I bought a magnet and it said, put your stake in the ground now. So there you go, another serendipitous moment. And I had to buy it. So thank you, Mynoo. Thank you all for joining. And we look forward to next Thursday. What is next Thursday? Is that Christmas? Is it here already? Is it the 25th? We need to get our calendars out. If it is the 25th or 24th, we may not be doing it. I don't know. I'll need to talk to Mynoo. 23rd, we'll be there. Great. Okay. So we will be there with bells on. Thank you all so much for joining. Thank you to all of you who are watching Facebook Live, be it the first, second, or third time. I know I watch it over and over. And we'll look forward to seeing you next Thursday evening. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.